Hey, so this isn't something I normally do, but recently I watched a video by Psych IRL called Why the End of Jenna Marbles is the End of Authenticity. And I have some thoughts. This is not what I normally do, and I'm not used to it, and this is just going to be an uncut ramble, partly because it's just going to be me having a stab at this, and this is really organized, and partly because it saves me editing time after I've finished filming this. I have a few thoughts about the video. Essentially, if you haven't watched it, it's a half-hour video talking about Jenna Marbles and the fact that she's leaving and what that means for the platform of YouTube and authenticity. Talks about also social media, cancel culture, a few other things. Go watch it if you haven't already. Anyway, point is, I have a few thoughts about a few things that they talk about during the video. And I'm going to start off with an analogy, which I found quite interesting. Diaries. They make the point, Psych IRL make the point that YouTube is a diary, like authentic, like you put it out like a diary. You have the videos and you just watch people grow year on year, day after day, month after month, as their videos change and they change and things go, and I kind of get what they're getting at, but I disagree with this for a few reasons. YouTube's not designed like a diary, and I'll talk about that. YouTube is not designed like a diary, and I'll talk about why I feel like that in a little bit. But I feel like YouTube is not a good diary, even if it was, because I would not treat a diary the same if it was just me reading it and it was just my own private diary, and if I understood that millions of people would also see it. Does that make it not authentic? No. But I don't think that I would treat it the same, and I don't think anyone would treat that the same, right? The inclusion of other people in this kind of system changes how we interact and behave, right? Like masks and everyone wears a mask, and we behave differently around different people, and that is true if we're writing to a million people or for ourselves as well, right? And yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's authenticity. I think authenticity is a very tricky thing that there isn't really that concrete a definition for. Because what is truly being authentic? What is being genuine? And I think this is the kind of question you can only really answer yourself for yourself. Like, how much is an act? How much is real? How much are you being authentic? Can you be authentic even in being inauthentic? And I think the answer to that is also yes. But like, I don't think necessarily that things are a diary that they are put out, right? If you have, looking back at Jenna Marbles in the early days of YouTube, right, there's always other motives, right? Not bad motives, but, there's always a deeper meaning to things, they're making things because you want to be funny, because you don't want to share things, sometimes you're just posting something for your family, for your friends, you just like singing, you want to get out there, you feel like this is the trend and you want to get on it. All of these are valid reasons for everything. But there's still reasons, and how much of that influences whether these are authentic, genuine expressions, or because you have a motive, and does that change it entirely? I did just use a mask metaphor, and I'm gonna go back to it, because one idea that I really like to play around with is this idea that we all wear masks in society, and oftentimes by putting on another mask, we take off the mask for society, and we are therefore our true selves when we are not ourselves, which sounds a bit confusing, but all I'm saying is essentially that yes, I feel that you can be authentic being inauthentic, and that often sketches and all this stuff are necessarily ways to be more yourself than you would necessarily if you were doing like a video or a vlog. And if that makes no sense, that's fine, because what I'm trying to say is that things are just confusing and nuanced and muddy and murky, and there's not a really easy, clear answer as far as I can see. And I also think that that's not on the people, because I think that's on the ecosystem. YouTube may seem like an unfeeling, unthinking, uncaring entity, but it is a part of what we are affected by the environment around us, and YouTube is an environment, and so we have to look at what YouTube does and why it does the things it does, right? Like, it's very much driven by engagement, watch time, and it feels like YouTube often wants you to just stay on the platform for as long as you can, and to watch as many videos as you can before you pass out. You know, they want you to binge. They want you to go down rabbit holes. That's why autoplay is a feature that just plays recommended videos. That's why the recommendations work the way they do, or as soon as you click on something new, it gives you that. That's why they don't really care about when you posted things, or like when videos came out, or the context of them, because that's all secondary to just getting you to watch another video and to clicking on another ad, right? So I think that definitely breeds a lack of context and doesn't engender itself to a point that Psych IRL makes, where they talk about how a diary lets you show the growth and see how people have changed, and it's not fair to judge someone on something that happened 10 years ago, and I agree with that. But also the system itself is not designed to do that either. The system is designed so that you see these videos without the context, without knowing how they've grown, and just to see these as bite-sized snippets, because, you know, whatever keeps you watching the videos, right? And so then the question is, can YouTube inherently be authentic if it's designed in a way to not encourage the journey and to see that? So even if it is a diary, even if that works, is it even possible for it to be authentic, right? And I think this is really interesting, because the way I see it is that YouTube stopped being authentic in the traditional innocent sense. I think that's a definition, I'm not sure. YouTube stopped being like that once people realized that you could become famous and make a living off the internet. Before that, you know, Niga Higa, Kev Jumba, Happy Slip, a lot of the OG people were just having fun. They're just people goofing around and telling their stories and like doing that. And as soon as that changed, the idea of that being just a very pure, untainted thing kind of, to me, disappeared, because now you had people who were joining so that they could get famous, so that they could make a living off it. And by the nature of the fact that the platform's perception and its purpose also changed, even the people who were on it just for fun had to change with it, right? They changed with the platform and all this other stuff, and that's not bad. That doesn't mean they're all inauthentic, but it means that I don't think that it can be described in the way that seems to be implied. That, you know, this authenticity means that it's pure and genuine and sincere, and I don't think it's ever really been like that for a while. And even then, you know you're on camera, you know you're being recorded, you know you're doing so many takes and making it look a certain way, right? I don't think it's the way that they say it is. I also don't think social media in general is authentic. It's allowed people to express themselves, sure, but, you know, it's also allowed people to Photoshop themselves, edit videos, auto-tune, pitch. Okay, I'm not talking about auto-tune, because that's another thing, and it's just a tool, and it's the latest in a long line of audio muckery that really doesn't deserve the rep it gets. But, you know, like with FOMO and stuff, social media has caused a lot of damage around this idea of this fake perception. You hear stories of YouTubers who really put on a happy face and are nothing like that. You hear of stories of people who say things that they don't believe just for the money. You hear stories of, you know, influencers who go and have these amazing fun parties, but everyone at it's just kind of on their phone and just updating and doing things and not actually engaging with the party. It's just a shell to present this image to the world. And it's like, you know, like how much of that... And even with your friends, you know, like you see posts where it's like, oh, they took a really nice photo shoot for this and like all that kind of stuff. But at what point is it still, you know, real? And I think the reason that authenticity is so difficult and so nebulous on social media and on YouTube is because you can't really have that kind of authentic relationship. It's difficult. And obviously this, you know, parasocial relationships become a thing, right? where it's not a two-way street of interaction. It's one person behind a screen, behind a camera, recording a video, sending it out, not to anyone in particular. And then a lot of people watch it. And it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue one way. And like, I like one thing Bo Burnham says. I really like Bo Burnham, by the way. Where he, in his special, where he I can't remember, I think it was Make Happy, where he talks about, if I stop, I don't want you to follow me for me, I want you to follow me for my content. If I stop making you laugh, stop following me. I'm a service provider and the entertainment's my job. If you don't enjoy it, stop watching. Because it does seem to be about engendering this relationship, and I'm not sure how healthy it is for anyone who's involved, because you get a lot of pressure and you have a million eyeballs watching what you do, and that's not healthy. And people idolize you and turn you into this person, and that can't be nice either. And it also reminds me of something Bo Burnham said in his Make Happy special, where he kind of ends up talking about burritos, but the message is that if he knew what he was getting into with fame, he probably wouldn't have done it, because it's not brought him happiness, and he can't handle it. Which is quite sobering. But what I'm trying to get at is parasocial relationships are quite nebulous and quite dangerous, especially because if people take advantage of them, that gets really dodgy, bad, very fast. But that's not the topic of the video. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling. All I do know is that social media can be dangerous and hurtful, and that authenticity is not something that you can really find except within yourself. You know? You hear a lot of stories about people putting on a happy face when they're really feeling horrible inside and all this other stuff. I think that people should do what they need to keep themselves happy and safe, even if that means, disappearing from a large audience who love watching your videos and are massive devoted fans. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, Jenna, I hope that you have a lovely life and are happy and safe, no matter if you decide to come back or if you just decide to stay away for your own sake. And I also hope that everyone watching this absolute train wreck of a ramble is also happy and safe. Cheers.